Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. I'm Drawing Stories and More, and on this channel I talk about different animated shows and movies and different characters in them as well. So if you like certain animated shows or movies or characters, this is the channel for you. And I'm pretty excited because for the first time I'm going to be talking about a certain show that I've actually recently just started watching, and I think it's great. And it's actually an older show, but I actually wanted to talk about this show and make some videos about it, like review different episodes in it and all. And without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so this amazing show that, well, is new to me is none other than Darkwing Duck. It's a Disney show that came out in the 90s, and you can either watch it on Disney Plus or you can look it up on YouTube, because I have found some full episodes of it on YouTube as well. And I think YouTube might have all the episodes that Disney Plus has. So, yeah, either way, I would definitely recommend looking it up on YouTube, or if you have Disney Plus, to find it on there, because it is really good. So if you haven't seen it, I would recommend looking it up on either YouTube or Disney Plus, because it is really good. And I've really been enjoying it. Plus, I've been sick recently, so watching a new animated show while you're sick has definitely been a good thing. Even though I haven't enjoyed being sick, I actually have really enjoyed watching the show, so yeah, that honestly makes things better. But anyway, now if you're not familiar with this show, let me just tell you a little bit about it, then I'll get into reviewing actually the first episode I saw of the show. And don't worry, I'll be quick. Okay, so the show is about this duck who calls himself Darkwing Duck, and he is a superhero, but he actually doesn't have superpowers. He's one of those superheroes who has gadgets and gizmos. And there's actually another superhero I'm thinking of that he actually reminds me of in a way. So anyway, Darkwing's the hero of this town called St. Canard, and he, alongside his sidekick Launchpad and his adopted daughter Goslin, protect the city. And there's different episodes about him protecting the city and defeating different villains and that kind of thing. And I'll talk more about, those specific episodes when I review them. But anyway, so let's get into reviewing the very first episode that I actually saw from the show. And it's actually interesting because Disney Plus actually has this episode as the first episode, but I've actually heard that this is actually the third episode. So yeah, I don't know why Disney Plus has this listed as the first episode, but anyway, in this episode, Darkwing is telling the story about one of the villains, and, well, how he became a villain, and it's actually pretty sad. This villain, his story kind of reminds me of Mojo Jojo's from the Powerpuff Girls. It's pretty sad, but it's not as sad as Mojo's, but it's still pretty sad. So anyway, this scientist, whose name is Dr. Reginald Bushroot, and I don't know exactly why I always seem to forget his first name. I can remember his last name, but I can't remember his first name most of the time. But anyway, so this guy is a scientist, and he's working on an experiment to where people can get, they can feed themselves like plants can, through water and sunlight. But he's actually told to quit, with his experiment due to them not having a lot of money, so he can't continue with his research. And we see that there's these two big dopey scientists in the show that make fun of him and tease him, and I must say, these two are super annoying. I don't think they're as annoying as, say, Mayor Humdinger from the Paw Patrol, and a couple certain characters from that show I also don't really care for other than Humdinger. But these two are pretty mean to Dr. Bushroot, and they're mean and annoying. And I haven't seen all the episodes of the show yet, but just from what I've seen, they're only in this one episode, which I am glad of, because they're mean and annoying. And it seems like they're the ones that really drive Bushroot to becoming a villain. And that's another reason why I don't like them. I'm telling you, this just goes to show you, don't be mean to people. But anyway, so Bushroot continues his research, but in his own, I'm not actually sure if he lives there, but they show him trying out his experiment in this greenhouse. Again, I'm not sure if he lives there or if that greenhouse is his, but he's actually been seen in this greenhouse in the show before, so I'm guessing that's his hideout or where he lives, or I don't know. Honestly, just from what I've seen so far, the show doesn't say. So I'm not sure if that greenhouse is his or what it is. I'm honestly not sure because I don't believe the show says. So I'm a little confused about that, but I'm just going to guess that the greenhouse is his. Because I seriously don't think he would trespass at this point. But anyway, so he tries out his experiment, so he straps himself to this bed, and he gets zapped by all this lightning, and something from this, I think it was a petunia that he had strapped to this other bed, something in the flower, like, flows into him. I honestly don't really understand that, but anyway, the next day, he thinks that his experiment didn't work, but once he gets out in the sun, he realizes that it does work. And then he starts to turn green, which he thinks is no big deal. He thinks it's just a little side effect. But his experiment actually causes him to mutate into a plant. Now, this guy's actually a duck because, the people in Darkwing Duck are animals. In fact, this is, I believe, in the same world as, Mickey Mouse and Donald, because in, these characters are, or a couple of the characters are actually in the reboot of DuckTales, proving that DuckTales and Darkwing Duck are in the same world. And from what I've heard, people have actually wondered before if these characters lived in the same world, and apparently they do. So anyway, Bushroot has mutated into this plant, and the only duck feature he actually has is his beak. So everything else duck related to him is gone. So his beak is the actually only thing that he has from, being a duck. He doesn't have webbed feet anymore, and he doesn't have feathers anymore. He just has his beak, and the rest of him is plant. So he runs back to the lab, showing everyone that his experiment worked, and by this time he's all plant, and the two dopey scientists that made fun of him actually, or were mean to him, actually start making fun of him once they see that he's all plant now. And there was actually this girl he liked in this episode, and she's just completely surprised to see that he's all plant. So he runs away, and then he realizes that he can control plants. And so he decides to get back at the two scientists that made fun of him, and he turns these two into these I forget what you call them. They're like these shapes people make with bushes. I honestly don't know what those things are called, but they get covered in leaves. And then Darkwing and his sidekick show up, and I will say that this is actually the last time we see these scientists. So I don't know if they were technically dead, or if they were dead, or, I mean, I don't know. Honestly don't know. From what I've seen, this is the last time we see them, which I'm actually glad of, but I hope that they didn't die. I don't think so, but I don't know. The show didn't really get in too much in their, explaining their condition. I mean, we see them, covered in leaves, but I'm not sure if they were alive. The show didn't say. But anyway, I would imagine they're probably still alive, but I'm glad that we don't see them again, thankfully. But anyway, so Darkwing starts investigating this, and Bushroot starts attacking Darkwing, and the girl scientist, she actually has a flower name. Her name is Rhododendra. Well, her last name is actually Dendra, and her first name is actually Rhoda, which is, it's actually funny that her first name is the first part of a flower, and her last name is the next part. I think that was funny. But anyway, she actually feels sorry for him, and I really like how she had, a concern for him. She, actually didn't love him like he loved her, but I really like the concern she had for him. But he actually takes it the wrong way, you might say, and he actually shows up, and when Darkwing confronts him, he actually kidnaps her, and I feel like if Darkwing hadn't stepped up, she might have been able to talk to him, because she actually did say before that she wanted to talk to him, and I feel like things definitely wouldn't have went well if Darkwing hadn't have stepped forward. But he was just doing his job as a hero. But she doesn't get to talk to him like, she had mentioned before, like she had hoped to. And he actually ends up kidnapping her. And Darkwing and Launchpad have to save her. And Bushroot is actually planning on turning her into a plant. And she actually reveals that she doesn't want to marry him. In fact, she doesn't want to get married at all. She's focused on her job. Smart girl. But she also doesn't want to be a plant. Smart girl again. But I really hate how she was the only one that felt sorry for him. But yet, I can imagine after what he almost did to her, she probably didn't want to have nothing else to do with him. But she was the only character in the show that ever showed any sympathy for him, and that went right out the window, which was Bushroot's own fault, but still. I really wish there had been another character in the show that showed kindness to him, at least. But I haven't seen all the episodes yet, so maybe there is and I just don't know, but I don't think anyone else ever shows him any kindness, unfortunately. But anyway, so Darkwing stops Bushroot, and he actually, technically, destroys him. I mean, I say technically because, it's kind of hard to explain since he's a plant. But, since he's a plant, he actually ends up growing back. And there's actually another episode where where Darkwing defeats him, and he's just this little tiny thing, and apparently he grows back, so I'm guessing since he has the ability to grow back, he, I guess, really can't be killed, I guess. But yeah, this is a pretty good episode. Again, I really like that Rhoda actually did, feel sorry for him, but that went right out the window after he kidnapped her and tried to turn her into a plant. Unfortunately. But anyway, so yeah, I think that this was a good first episode for me. And again, I don't understand why Disney Plus had this listed as the first episode when it was the third. And for anyone who wants to find this episode, it's called Beauty and the Beet. But anyway, so yeah, I think this is a pretty good episode, and I think that this was a good first episode for me. And so anyway, stay tuned for more, because I plan on reviewing some more Darkwing Duck episodes, and I might make some other videos about the show and the characters as well. And so stay tuned for that and more. Bye!